Okay, we are at the Lower Bristlecone Pine Trailhead in Lee Canyon. And today, what we're going to do is head up to Bonanza Peak. And this is going to be an ultra marathon experience because it's at least, it's close to 30 miles round trip. And there's going to be 4,000 feet elevation gain over time. We at about the 2/3 point of this experience, we descend about 1,000 feet and then reascend 1,000 feet. So that should be a delightful experience. And we're at the Lower Bristlecone Pine Trailhead because we have a choice. We could have gone to the Upper Bristlecone Pine Trailhead or the Lower Bristlecone Pine Trailhead. The reason we're choosing the lower is even though this trailhead is, adds a couple miles to an already very long experience, we're choosing this trailhead because the upper trailhead requires a little uphill at the end when we're most exhausted, and it's a narrow trail. There are a lot of people on it, and last time I did the Upper Bristlecone Pine and I was on the way back from McFarland Peak, it was just hard passing people on the trail. They did not want to yield, and so you end up walking a lot, and then asking people to let you pass them, and it's just annoying. So anyway, we are at the Lower Bristlecone Pine Trailhead. You're looking at, through the trees here, you're looking at Lee Peak. And then as we go along here, we're looking at the north ridge of Kyle Canyon. Again, through the trees. And then we're looking over here at Mummy Mountain. And there you have it. Sorry, it looks like it's a little fuzzy. I may be at the point where I need a new phone here. Anyway, here we go. Up the Lower Bristlecone Pine Trailhead. And another good thing about this trailhead is that this is actually a fire road, the first part. So it's very wide. And on the way back, it's going to be good downhill run down this wide fire road. Okay, here we go. Just to give a quick idea of the view here, and the quality of this trail, which is actually a fire road. We're looking straight at one of the sisters. We've only got about an 1/8 mile, but we're at a higher elevation here, so we've got a better view than before. So now you can see how the trail begins, and you have a much better view of the surrounding mountains. And we're looking at the north ridge of Kyle Canyon there toward Lee Peak, and everything's going to come into view very quickly. So we'll be looking down on the Lee Canyon area. Okay, here we go. Being the last weekend in September, the aspens are starting to turn. Makes this area very, very beautiful. This is a great time to be on the Bristlecone Pine Trail. We're going to be meeting up with the Bonanza Trail. Once we hit the Bonanza Trail, I think it's 12 or 13 miles to Bonanza Peak. We'll find out. It'll say on the trail. Okay. Continuing on through the aspens. Still on the fire road, approaching the junction of the Bristlecone Pine Trail and the Bonanza Trail. But now the view is really opening up. As you can see, bristlecone pines have appeared. We've gained about, close to 600 feet. So we are around 88 to 8,900 feet. There's Lee Peak. And you can see portions of the ski area, some of the ski runs below. I don't know how much is going to be visible in this sunrise. Here's the north ridge of Kyle Canyon. And then here we are looking into the Mummy Mountain sunrise. Then up into the forest here. And one thing I can say about this road is it is a perfectly even upgrade, which would mean it'll be a great run on the way back if I'm still running after 26 to 30 miles. We'll see. Okay, here we go. We're at the junction of the Bristlecone Pine Trail. There's the Lower Bristlecone Pine Trail. About 2.5 miles to the trailhead. And here's that peak we've been looking at. I believe it's one of the sisters. And here is the Upper Bristlecone Pine Trail, where it begins, and then the fire road's going to disappear very shortly, but we won't be going that direction because we are taking the Bonanza Trail. Give you an idea what we're looking at here. Okay, 13 miles to the Bonanza Trailhead. And we know we're not going to go all that way. You can see the Upper Bristlecone Pine Trailhead, 2 miles. Lower Bristlecone Pine Trailhead, Pinehead, that's what I am right now. Pine Trailhead is 3 miles, which means that we have actually covered 3 miles. Here's a good 360. See, the sun is definitely up in the sky now. We have ascended close to 800 feet just to get to this point. 3 miles, 800 feet. And now an additional ascent begins, going up to a ridge line of the Bonanza Trail. And it's the ridge line that will take us past McFarland Peak and over to Bonanza Peak. And I imagine it's 10 to 12 miles each way. Okay, let's go. Trail, Bonanza Trail, doesn't waste much time getting up to the ridge line. You're in planet switchback very quickly, and the incline just becomes much more dramatic than that fire road. That's still not too bad. It's a good trail. Very beautiful here. We may be looking at another one of the sisters. We'll get a closer view when we get up to the ridgeline. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to see both sisters. We're looking down. You very faintly see the outline of the Sheep Range down below, straight down Lee Canyon. Okay, let's continue on up. See a dog coming down the trail. Okay, 1,200 feet from elevation gain, at least, from the Lower Bristlecone Pine Trailhead, we reached the ridgeline. And so now we're on the Bonanza Peak Trail ridgeline. And there's still a lot of uphill here, but maybe not as dramatic and sustained as the planet switchback we just experienced. Beautiful bristlecone pine trees all around us now. We're at about 9,500, 9,600 feet. And curiously, we our upper limit of altitude is going to be 10,000, but again, we're going to do a lot of rolling hills, and so before we're done, I would imagine we will have gained between gain and loss in the area of 5,000 feet. So continuing on and looking very, very beautiful. This is one of the most beautiful trails I've ever been on. Now this is interesting. The main trail heads down, the Bonanza Trail. And there's this little trail that goes upward. I don't know if it just goes to a high point where there's a viewpoint, or there is a possibility this could connect with the Lower Bristlecone Pine Trail further down the fire road, because I saw a trail, an unmarked trail that was leading upward at a point where it really looked like this would be the spot to connect. So we don't know, but at some point we might find out. And then here's more of the view around us. This is the trail we just traversed. And there you can see a good shot of Lee Peak. We'll see many better shots. And then here's the Bonanza Trail heading down. Okay, I went ahead and checked this out, and it just goes up to a camping area. So it's really no connector, which means I have not seen another connector on this trail. So that offshoot trail from the Lower Bristlecone Pine Fire Road does not lead up to anything here, I believe. Okay, in the meantime, though, there is a great shot of Mount Charleston. Then here's the area we're in. And now we've got a bit of a downhill, so a lot of rolling hills on this trail. Here we go. First view of McFarland Peak. And we're going to continue on the trail. We're going to circle around the left side of McFarland. Beautiful bristlecones up here. Give you a quick 360. Here's the trail we just traversed. Looking down into the valley toward Pahrump, actually. But you can't see it, it's behind the tree. Let's go over here, see if you got a better view. Yeah, it's in the haze, but Pahrump would be down in that direction. And then back over to McFarland Peak. And to the trail, we are heading up right now. Or actually, rather than up, I would say it's a rolling trail. Up, down, up, down. Here we go. There's a great shot of Mount Charleston and Lee Peak to the left of Charleston Peak. And this is an example of the up and down. We are now heading down some pretty dramatic switchbacks. And as you look over this direction, you can see McFarland Peak ahead, and we need to pass to the left of it, which means we have quite a plunge. And then at the other side of McFarland Peak, there's a 1,000-foot plunge. So, so there's a lot of up and down on this Bonanza Trail. But it is beautiful. Bristlecone pines all around us. There's a bit of a clearer view of Pahrump. That may be the clearest we're going to get today. So, from this point, about 9,600, we're going to drop down to close to 8,000. So, and then we're going to rise up to about 10,000. So yeah, this is a major little bump in the trail. Okay, onward. Here's a great full view of McFarland Peak. Pretty much in the forest otherwise. Another great shot of McFarland Peak. And up in the bristlecone trees. And continuing around, we need to head around that large bluff. We'll head around the left side, and then we plunge down about 1,000, 1,200 feet. Closing in on the far side of McFarland Peak. Just scoot around that pillar there, on the left side, and then plunge downward. But here's a good shot of McFarland Peak. And then looking down into the valley there, I believe we're looking down into the 95 corridor north of Las Vegas. But it's hard to see. A lot of haze from the California fires. Then to the, I think this is one of the sisters, and then to the right is the Sheep Range. Little open area here with some good views. And over on this side, we're looking at Charleston Peak and Lee Peak. And then down and around, better view of the Pahrump area through the haze there. On a clear day, you'd be able to see Telescope Peak from here, but there is a Telescope Peak page on Las Vegas Area Trails. And here we are back at McFarland Peak and onward. Continuing along this amazing trail, approaching the far side of McFarland Peak. You see the rock formations here. We should see more when we get around the corner. Beautiful rock formations around the corner here. Nothing like the art that nature creates. Looking straight down to Pahrump. We're at the far side of McFarland Peak, and this is where the trail begins to plummet downward. And so we need to go down there. A lot of switchbacks going down, which will be switchbacks going up as we return. So this will be pretty amazing on the way back, having ascended oh boy, close to 4,000 feet to get up here. I mean, not to get to this point, but to get to Bonanza Peak and then another 1,000 to ascend on the way back. Now this little break-off trail, actually at the point where the main trail begins to plummet downward toward Bonanza Peak. And that's where, right in this spot, it plummets downward. There's the trail that is heading back toward Lee Canyon. This is the trail plummeting down toward a gully before Bonanza Peak, but you can see it's kind of blocked off here. There's a little right at the corner, right at the turn, and what you have here is a little split off trail, and you can see cairns Here's one. And then it heads up in this direction. And this, I think, is the approach to the gully that you take to ascend McFarland Peak. So we'll return here at some point and do that. Just making a note of it now. For now, descending, plummeting downward before we do a dramatic ascent up to Bonanza Peak. Hey, we've almost rounded McFarland Peak, and the trail has indeed plunged downward. We've lost about 700 feet so far. Another 700 probably to go before we begin to ascend a couple thousand feet, or at least 1,500 feet up to the summit of Bonanza Peak. But looking around here, here's the trail continuing onward. And over here, see a great shot of Mount Charleston, Lee Peak, and the upper north ridge of Kyle Canyon. The way the summit approach to McFarland Peak, I believe, is this gully right here. And a moment ago we looked at the beginning of the trail for that gully. I think it goes right up to this area, and then you summit the peak. I believe we're getting our first glimpse at Bonanza Peak. It's a long way from here, but we should be about 2/3 the way there. The only thing is, boy, we got to get through this canyon below us. And here's McFarland Peak, the end of McFarland Peak. And so you can see this is where things begin to dramatically descend. Those earlier descents were like nothing compared to what we're going to need to do to get through this canyon, and then the ascent of up to a couple thousand feet to get to the summit of Bonanza Peak. So here we go. Oh, by the way, let's turn around and get a 360 here. Yes. Great view of Charleston Peak, Lee Peak, and to the left of them, the north ridge of Kyle Canyon. And then I think a little further, yes, there's Mummy Mountain. So you're looking all the way from Mummy Mountain to Charleston Peak. Still looking impossibly far away. Here's the trail I'm on, still plummeting downward. Hopefully it's going to circle around before it goes all the way down there. And hopefully the approach to the summit is going to be over on this side of Bonanza Peak and not requiring circling all the way around. By the way, there is a much shorter way to Bonanza Peak than the way that I took today. I just wanted to see the entire Bonanza Trail. I think that by the end of the day, I will definitely have had my fill of the Bonanza Trail. But the shorter route is from, I believe it's the town of Cold Creek on the other side of Bonanza Peak. And that's only a few miles from the trailhead on that side up to the summit. So yeah, we picked the long way, but it's the way we did it. And it's giving us some views that are just incredible. Okay. Oh, look at this tree. You just wonder how it makes that kind of twist. An old bristlecone pine. And that must be what they look like under the bark. Who knows? Okay. Let's continue on. Let's look back toward McFarland Peak. And that point I was standing on when I was asking myself, do I need to go all the way down the canyon? Up there. And here we are, down in the canyon. I guess we could go further down, but I think it's going to wind around now. And hopefully it's going to head up maybe around the left side of these rock formations up ahead. Maybe right between them. We don't know. But we know that Bonanza Peak is on the other side of this rock formation here. So, yeah, I'm a grand total of 120 feet above the trailhead where I began. And I know I've ascended at least a couple thousand feet and then re-descended another 1,500. And so probably have couple thousand feet to ascend, and I'm not even sure I'm at the bottom here yet. If it goes much lower, I'll do another video to just show where the real bottom is, but I'm thinking that now we wind around and ascend a couple thousand feet and we reach Bonanza Peak. Okay, here we go. I dare hope that we are on the final ascent toward Bonanza Peak up ahead. We don't know, but I did make an interesting, very positive calculation, and that's that on the trip here, I ascend something like 2,000 feet and then another 1,800 feet to get up to Bonanza Peak. On the way back, I only need to ascend about 17 to 1,800 feet once, which is really good. Half the ascent on the way back. Possibly, we'll see. Anyway, here we are heading toward Bonanza Peak. And this is a look back to that canyon. Yes, we did descend pretty low in the canyon. And up to that point, you see right in the center. And then over up a little further, then we skirted McFarland Peak, which is right here. So yeah, this trail is not straight up and down. It has a few little hills in the way, and they're not little. 100 to 1,000 feet to go to the summit of Bonanza Peak, which is directly ahead. Here's the surroundings. The trail I've been ascending. We've passed a major switchback area. Maybe that's the only one. Who knows? We'll know in just another half hour probably. Okay, onward. Pausing here for a moment. You can see Mount Charleston to the right, and then the large peak straight in the center is McFarland Peak. And we're continuing on up this trail, winding upward. I think that we should be within about 500 to 700 feet of the summit of Bonanza Peak. That would be vertical feet. Okay. And looking back, we were standing on that saddle at one point, wondering if we had to descend into the depths of this canyon below us. And the answer is yes. So here we go. Up, and then on the way back, descent and re-ascent. Well, we are within a couple hundred vertical feet of the summit, and it could be right up here ahead. What a marathon this is going to be, heading back. Here and back again. Get a view around us. Definitely back into the bristlecones. We've gone above and below the bristlecone line a few times today. So a lot of ascent and distance on this route. Well, there's a little trail that broke off to the right. There were a couple cairns on it, and it was close to the summit. So I'm assuming that had I gone straight, I would have been heading back down to Cold Creek, which I do not want to do. So I am going to imagine that this little trail is a summit trail. Why else would it be so well traveled? If I'm wrong, we may not make the summit today, because I don't think I'm going down and back up. Okay, approaching what is a highest point in this direction. It had better not be a false summit. That's all I can say. The trail to this spot is well traveled, and it broke off of the main trail. So I'm thinking we may be looking at the summit, Bonanza Peak. Let's check it out. Ah, a summit box. That's always a good sign. Which means we are on Bonanza Peak. Took about, oh boy, 6 hours to get here. About 13 miles, definitely a half marathon already, but we've ascended 4,000 feet. I wonder what that town is down there. It is so hazy. It is just hard to tell what's what. It would seem that I'm looking in the Death Valley direction. There's another looks like Angel Peak almost, but Oh, maybe it is, actually. So, okay, getting our bearings here. That was Angel Peak, which means, okay, just a minute. Hold it. Let's nail these correctly. Angel Peak in the center. We move a little bit around, and Mummy Mountain. The head to the right, left. Can't see the toe. And that would make this down here McFarland Peak, or no. Probably this is McFarland Peak. Yeah. Which means, oh boy, we got to go all the way down and around and then circle the right side of McFarland Peak. That'll be delightful. Okay. May end up in the dark here. And that would be Charleston Peak. And I don't mind ending in the dark, but no, we do not want to deal with clouds and rain, which makes this over here, oh boy, if that's Charleston Peak, this has got to be yeah, this has got to be down in the valley. Pahrump. Boy, I'm all turned around. Okay, that would be Pahrump. And if that's Pahrump, then very, very faintly in the distance, right in the center, would be Telescope Peak. So there are our bearings. And I really need to hightail it back. See if I can make it at least to the fire road before dark. But yeah, we are on the summit of Bonanza Peak. And when I get back down to the main trail, I'll make a note of where the summit trail broke off from the main trail. Okay, and then this over here would, oh wow, okay. Right in that spot between the branches there is Gas Peak. Very, very faint. Which would put the Sheep Range there. And once again, it's hazy. Everything's pretty faint. And then we're looking at the 95 corridor heading up toward Reno, down in that area. So, and then looking toward Reno in this area. So, there you go. There is the world from Bonanza Peak. Beautiful bristlecone pines up here. And now we need to hightail it back. Beautiful place. This is the area where the trail splits off and we head up to the summit, where the summit trail is. And now we're going to head back. Hopefully we get the right direction. I think this is the direction back, but I'm not seeing a trail. Very interesting. Now there is a trail down there. So, well, it might take a little sleuthing to actually come up with the trail that we were on, but we are going to do that. Here we go. Okay, now I get it. There was a little switchback that confused me a bit here. This switchback going down is the way back. And I can see it connects with that trail there. We know we need to head off in that direction. And these are the summit trails up here. And then this trail would continue along back to down to Cold Creek. So that's my theory. Let's see what actually happens. Yes, it's looking good. Boy, I got turned around there. Don't want to end up at Cold Creek. So once again, yeah, there's where the summit trail breaks off after one more switchback on this trail. Oh wow, I just made that huge canyon and incline. There's Bonanza Peak and McFarland Peak and Mummy Mountain. And then over this way, Charleston Peak and Lee Peak. Let's get a close-up of Charleston Peak. The light's hitting it just right. Okay, we're on the way back, and we still have about another 600 feet elevation gain, and then we'll have the rolling hills along the ridge ahead there. And I think it'll be a couple hundred feet up, a couple hundred feet down, just in a rolling way. But it'll be a lot easier than what we've just done. We have descended this canyon, then reascended up to Bonanza Peak. Oh, I'm so exhausted I can hardly think straight. So, here we go. I've skirted McFarland Peak on the way back, and let's do a 360. There's Charleston Peak. In the waning sun. Looks great. And here's the return trail. About halfway through it. And then this next half is mostly downhill. So that's good news. Anyway, Mummy Mountain will be coming into view soon. I may not get another shot of it. We got shots on the way up. Okay, let's continue on down. Have to catch some of the beauty up here on the Bonanza Trail in the waning sunlight. Totally amazing. This is why I think this is one of the most beautiful trails anywhere. And there's Charleston Peak. I think we just about reached the point where everything else is downhill. Not sure, but we'll find out soon. Hey, there's Mummy Mountain, which means that it is about downhill all the way, and I just need to get to the base of the main section of that mountain where I am parked. So onward and down. See if I can run. And there's Charleston Peak. Pretty amazing with the light the way it's cast on it. Let's do a close-up of Mummy. There's the Mummy's head area. And then immediately below here are the sisters. Okay, hopefully this will be mostly running. We'll see if I have enough energy to even run downhill. Off we go. Another look at Mount Charleston and Lee Peak in the waning sunlight. And heading down a switchback section in the trail right now. The light show, Mummy Mountain, lit up in the sunset. And then we've got, well, you really can't see it still. The Sheep Range. But we do have one of the sisters just ahead here. There we go. There's one of the sisters lit up by the sunset. Back at the trailhead for the Bristlecone Pine Trail. And now it's a straight run down this fire road by the time the sun sets. And you can see the sun is definitely beginning to set. There's Lee Peak up in this direction, Charleston Peak on the right, Lee Peak on the left. And then we've got Mummy Mountain straight ahead, all in the beauty of the sunset. Here's one of the sisters. So let's just go around this corner and see Mummy Mountain open up in the sunset. And we'll hightail it back the last 3 miles. Look at this. This is just amazing. Perfect timing. And those colors will fade within 10 minutes from now. We'll be looking at darkness. But for right now, there's the fullness of Mummy Mountain in the sunset. Wow. Doesn't get better than that. And then here's the fire road. And down we go. See if we can get down to the bottom 3 miles before the lights go out.